We begin with Tabitha waking up in a hospital, where she realizes she's somehow made it back to the real world. But with no ID on her, and knowing the police will want answers, she decides to slip away. On her way out, she briefly spots the mysterious boy in white out on the street, and that pushes her to call her mother, who's overwhelmed with emotion after months of not knowing anything about her daughter. Still, Tabitha hangs up. Right now, her only focus is finding a way to help her family get back. So she follows a clue hidden in Victor's lunchbox, one that leads her straight to his father's house. Meanwhile, back in Fromville, Boyd tries to recover after what happened with Reggie, while Donna organizes the collection of the last remaining crops. At the same time, Jim heads into the forest to look for Tabitha, with Kenny choosing to go along. And Jade is still deeply shaken by the visions of the symbol and the children. But things take a turn for the worse when the crops are suddenly found completely rotten. Panic spreads fast and the residents begin raiding Tien Chen's house in a desperate search for food. Out in the forest, Jim and Kenny come across strange figures made of branches that lead them to a group of cabins. They decide to stay there for the night, relying on a talisman for protection. Back in town, with the food crisis escalating, Donna, Boyd, and Tien Chen consider extreme measures, even sacrificing animals. But that night, the creatures release the livestock and break into the barn. Despite Boyd and Tien Chen trying to handle the situation, they're overpowered. Boyd is tied up and forced to watch as Tien Chen is brutally tortured and ultimately loses her life. After the tragedy, Jade finds Tien Chen's body in the barn, along with a devastated Boyd. The town slowly begins to realize what happened, while Kenny is still out in the forest with Jim, completely unaware that his mother is gone. In fact, Jim and Kenny wake up to an unexpected surprise, a massive amount of fresh vegetables. And convinced this could feed everyone, they gather as much as they can. Meanwhile, in the real world, Victor's father, Henry, pulls a gun on Tabitha when he catches her trying to leave. Even though she explains everything, he doesn't believe her at first. But when she mentions the children trapped in the tower, he starts to hesitate. Back in Fromville, Boyd and Jade bring Tien Chen's body to the church. Tensions rise quickly, especially with Donna, who confronts Boyd over what happened. At the same time, a shaken Victor decides to leave. Over at Colony House, Fatima begins experiencing alarming pregnancy symptoms when one of her teeth suddenly falls out. She turns to Marielle, who reassures her that the baby seems fine. Just as Jim and Kenny return with the food, Boyd is faced with the painful task of telling Kenny the truth. Kenny breaks down, unable to accept that his mother didn't make it. Later, during Tien Chen's funeral, Boyd makes a bold decision. He wants to capture one of the creatures, believing it's the only way to truly understand them and survive. Meanwhile, Henry reveals that his wife also used to see the children and would draw them along with places from the town, convinced she was meant to save them. He begins to wonder if Tabitha might share that same fate. But at that exact moment, back home, Jim hears the phone ring, and on the other end is the voice of his son Thomas. At first, Jim thinks it's really him, but it doesn't take long to realize something is off. Before hanging up, the voice warns him not to leave his children outside after dark. Back at Henry's house, Tabitha keeps searching for answers. He tells her about the bottle tree, something deeply connected to his wife Miranda's visions. When Tabitha learns the original tree is located in another town, where those visions first began, she asks him to take her there. In Fromville, Boyd remains determined to capture a creature, despite Donna strongly opposing the idea. Meanwhile, Victor begins digging, guided by his maps. And Fatima's behavior becomes more unsettling as her pregnancy progresses. She starts eating rotten food, deeply worrying Tilly. Elsewhere, Kenny, Jade, and the others return to the spot where they found the fresh vegetables. But Jade experiences more visions, and while Christy tries to help, she gets caught in a bear trap. Thankfully, the group manages to free her and return before nightfall. Boyd, on his side, starts building what looks like a trap, and soon after, he finds Randall, who's dealing with disturbing visions on the bus. So, Boyd suggests using the vehicle as a way to observe the creatures more closely. Meanwhile, during the trip to the original tree, Tabitha notices something shocking. A bracelet in Henry's car that's identical to one she made for Jim years ago. Henry claims Miranda made it, but for Tabitha, it's proof she's still somehow connected to the town. When she tries to escape, it leads to a car crash. And when she wakes up in an ambulance with Henry, they realize the road is blocked by the fallen tree, the unmistakable sign that they've reached Fromville again. Then, the ambulance enters the town just as night falls. Even though Tabitha tries to warn everyone, the paramedics step out to help what appears to be an injured person, only to come face to face with one of the creatures. And things quickly spiral as the creatures attack while Tabitha, handcuffed, is left unable to do anything. But before that, Jim gets another call from the entity pretending to be Thomas. This time, Ethan answers, and the voice tells him his mom is arriving in an ambulance. Fed up, Jim smashes the phone, but convinced something is wrong, he heads out with Boyd and Randall to find her. Elsewhere, Sarah helps Victor build a shelter. During this, he recalls how his mother tried to save the town, but no one made it. After meeting the boy in white, Victor managed to survive all those years and was told to keep personal items from those who were lost. Back at the ambulance, one of the officers fires her weapon in panic, accidentally injuring Nikki, who was witnessing everything. Despite Marielle's efforts, Nikki loses her life. So Donna tries to regain control of the chaos while Randall helps Boyd free Tabitha, only to end up surrounded by the creatures. One of them then makes an offer. They'll let Tabitha go in exchange for Randall. And Boyd agrees, returning safely with Tabitha, Jim, and Henry. Meanwhile, Elgin continues having disturbing hallucinations, and Jade reveals to Christy and Kenny that Christopher's journal, given to him by Tien Chen, contains drawings of the same symbol he's been seeing. Victor also shares that Christopher began losing his sanity after seeing that symbol. And he mentions Jasper, a puppet Christopher used to talk to, one that seemed almost alive. Something Jade has also witnessed, and Fatima's behavior becomes even more disturbing as she feeds on Nikki. But the most shocking moment comes when Boyd and Donna find Randall the next morning, badly injured, but somehow still alive after spending the night with the creatures. So Randall is taken to Colony House, furious with Boyd. At the same time, Tabitha shares everything she experienced in the real world with her family and Jade. Jade becomes fixated on her story about the lighthouse and the bottle tree, convinced those clues could explain how Fromville works. Meanwhile, Victor and Sarah arrive looking for supplies, but when Victor learns his father is in town, he's completely shaken and walks away. Later, at the diner, the townspeople bombard Tabitha with questions about the outside world. But tension rises when some accuse her of not trying hard enough to get help. Elsewhere, Julie and Elgin bond over their shared trauma, and he opens up about his visions. At the same time, Ellis catches Fatima eating spoiled food. At that moment, she breaks down, admitting she feels like something isn't right with her pregnancy. Then, in a deeply emotional moment, Victor finally reunites with his father after years apart. Meanwhile, Jade and Tabitha investigate the bottle tree and find papers with numbers. Jade believes they might be dates, but things take a horrifying turn when one of the residents enters the tree, only to reappear fused into the town's pool, losing his life in front of everyone. So Jade continues studying the bottle trees, forming a theory. They might be dimensional cracks, capable of transporting people out of the town. And Boyd mentions a number he once found in a bottle, 1864. At the same time, Victor and Henry explore the tunnels beneath the town. There, they discover a hidden chamber filled with objects and sleeping creatures. Victor retrieves the puppet Jasper, but one of the creatures warns them that if they keep coming back, they might not be able to leave next time, so they barely make it out. Meanwhile, Fatima's situation becomes even more disturbing. When Christy performs an ultrasound using the ambulance equipment, the screen shows no sign of a baby inside her. As all of this unfolds, Elgin, Jade, and Tabitha continue struggling with their visions, unable to fully understand the trees. But when Tabitha looks at Jade's drawings, she realizes something chilling. She used to dream about those same symbols as a child. It suggests her connection to this place may have started long before she ever arrived. After reviewing Fatima's condition, Boyd begins to fear that something unnatural is growing inside her, something that could put everyone in danger. Meanwhile, Julie and Randall grow closer while spending time away from town. But Randall begins having new hallucinations involving cicadas, forcing him to stay away from the area where they were once trapped. Elgin, on the other hand, discovers a clue through his camera that leads him to an abandoned bunker where he finds a body. There, the kimono woman appears again, telling him she can help him return home. At the same time, Fatima's condition worsens. Her body starts rejecting food, and she feels an uncontrollable urge to consume decaying things. Eventually, she loses control, and during an encounter with Tilly in the greenhouse, she stabs her. Ellis witnesses everything and, horrified, decides to tell Boyd the truth. So, to prevent the town from finding out it was her, Boyd takes Fatima to a remote cabin in the forest while he figures out what to do. When Tilly's body is discovered, Acosta and Kenny begin investigating, though Donna soon uncovers the truth. Meanwhile, Tabitha helps Victor remember something important. Before Christopher disappeared, he used to talk to the boy in white at the church. According to what he learned, the children of Fromville were taken by adults they trusted, and from that, they created the network of trees as a symbol of hope. At the same time, Julie feels drawn once again to the ruins. After passing through an arch, she enters a space where she seems to witness past events, including the moment Boyd met Martin. Then it's revealed that she was the one who threw the rope to help him. Eventually, they manage to bring her back. Fatima also begins seeing the kimono woman, while Elgin finds a photograph tied to blood and starts behaving strangely. He leads Fatima to the bunker, convincing her to go inside. There, he tells her the baby isn't hers and leaves her locked in. So, when Boyd and Ellis realize Fatima is missing, they rush into the forest, desperate to find her before anyone else does. During the search, Boyd suffers a severe episode from his tremors and finally admits to Ellis that he has Parkinson's. Meanwhile, Sarah starts hearing voices again, warning her they won't find Fatima in time. Then, Donna chooses to protect her, telling the town she was taken, and organizes a search. Victor, overwhelmed, tries to destroy the bottle tree, blaming it for his mother's disappearance. But the boy in white stops him, saying the tree has a purpose, and that it's up to the people to uncover the answers. Soon after, Victor heads to the bunker, unaware that Fatima is already there, along with Tabitha and Julie, who are guided by the children. At that moment, Tabitha touches Victor and experiences a vision from the past. She sees Miranda trying to reach the faraway tree to save the children, but she loses her life at the hands of a creature. That's when Tabitha realizes they're connected. On the other hand, Ellis begins to suspect Elgin is involved in Fatima's disappearance, especially because of the way he talks. Sarah also hints that he might be hearing the same voices that once manipulated her. So Boyd and Ellis confront him. And after being pushed to his limits, Elgin admits that the kimono woman guided him to hide Fatima in a basement to help the town. Meanwhile, Fatima gives birth. But instead of a baby, it's something unrecognizable. A hidden door opens and the kimono woman takes the newborn entity away. When Boyd and Ellis finally find her, Fatima reveals a horrifying truth. The creatures were once human, people who sacrificed their own children in exchange for immortality. And it doesn't stop there. When Boyd enters the hidden chamber, he witnesses a ritual where the newborn transforms into one of the creatures, confirming they can be reborn. At the same time, Julie tells Ethan she believes she can relive moments from the past. Ethan suggests she might be a story walker, like in the story he always reads. Someone who can travel through time, but can't change what's already happened. Meanwhile, Jade and Tabitha finally uncover the meaning behind the numbers in the bottle tree, thanks to Jim. They're musical notes that trigger memories. Then, the children appear, and both Tabitha and Jade remember the truth. They are reincarnated souls who have been trying to stop this cycle since the very beginning, when the first settlers sacrificed their children, including their own daughter. Their past lives, Miranda and Christopher, also failed. Now they have to break this cycle once and for all. So Tabitha explains everything to Jim before stepping away to process it. But suddenly a future version of Julie appears, trying to warn him about something. And then, out of nowhere, a mysterious man in yellow shows up, telling Jim that Tabitha should never have dug that hole. And right in front of Julie, Jim loses his life. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more recaps and comment below what story you want me to cover next. See you in the next video.